Hi everyone, Chag Sameach and Moed Tov. I hope you have had a wonderful Pesach so far. I wanted to share a story from my family as this is the holiday of Sipor Yetziat Mitzrayim. I'm going to share a story about my grandfather, in English Joe Just. We used to call him Yussel as he preferred because he wasn't a Zaidi and he didn't look like one. We used to call him Yussel. So my grandfather was born in Poland at the end of World War I. And he was part of a Belzer Hasidic family growing up and had 11 siblings, all of whom perished except two, my grandfather and one sister. They perished in the Holocaust. My grandfather survived because he was drafted into the Polish unit of the Russian army. This is him in his uniform. And as you can see, he's quite a dashing, handsome man. So he was always in the Russian army kind of one step ahead of the Nazis, which is what helped him survive. And he was in the Russian army for 4 years. And during those 4 years, he did keep a Pesach Seder one time. And this is that story. He was stationed in Baku in Azerbaijan and was walking through the marketplace when he saw an older man with a long white beard selling salts. And he realized he was a Jew. And he starts approaching this Jewish seller of salts, and the man starts trembling. This is how my grandfather tells it. He could see his hands shaking. And my grandfather says to him in Russian, "Are you a Jew?" And the man is petrified to answer, not knowing how this Russian soldier will react to him saying he's a Jew. And my grandfather realized what he thought and says to him in Yiddish, "I'm a Yid, I'm a Jew." So the two of them had a very warm embrace and greeting. This man had also come from Europe, from Lithuania, and fled with his family in the middle of Azerbaijan. And it was Pesach time. And this man invited my grandfather home for Pesach Seder. So my grandfather actually went to base, got another Jewish comrade, and they joined this other refugee family for Pesach. And it was, he said, a beautiful Seder, but also a very sad Seder, because it was the first time that he and his friend actually stepped out of their denial to what probably happened to their family, what was happening to Jews everywhere, as they had previously just been focusing on their army training and being and serving in the army, as they had been conscripted and drafted. And so they spent the Seder crying. They spent the Seder thinking about their family and going over the story of Sipor Yetziat Mitzrayim and the Jewish people and how relevant it was for them to think about what was going on en masse with the Jewish people in the 40s. I think about that Seder a lot that my grandfather told me about, because Pesach is truly something that, whether it was 70 years ago, 200 years ago, 1,000 years ago, we're telling the same story of our people, of the people coming out. It's such an incredible, unifying experience that we have a Pesach Seder, and everyone's Pesach Seder is different. Yom Kippur probably looks very similar in all over the world, but everyone has their unique Pesach Seder, just like the Jewish people. They're diverse, they're different cultures and ethnicities, but we're all going to tell the story of Sipor Yetziat Mitzrayim on Pesach night. At the Seder, we actually have to acknowledge Pesach, Matzah, and Maror. Maror represents the bitterness of the Jews, and Matzah represents the freedom. The Maharal of Prague says Pesach represents the unity of the Jewish people. A sheep, which is the Paschal lamb, is an animal that associates with the flock. You don't see one standing off by its side. It's always together. The structure of the sacrifice when they did eat it had to be complete, none of the bones done, because every single Jew is a part of that one large picture of the Jewish people. As well, when they were eating the Pesach karban, every piece had to be eaten, and it had to be prescribed from the beginning who was going to be at your Seder so that no one was left out. Every single person had to have a seat eating that karban Pesach. So Pesach is not just about our independence and our freedom, but also about unity and about the Jewish people coming together and uniting. So whether you were able to see family or friends during this pandemic or not, the idea that we're all able to say the Seder together and to be unified together is truly something. It is beautiful, and that I hope in future years we can really be together with family, with friends, and next year in Yerushalayim. Have a wonderful second days of Pesach, and I look forward to being and teaching with you soon.